Hey, welcome. It's Brian, and this is Guitar Solo Reactions. Today, Pat Metheny and his song, Are You Going With Me? This features the Pat Metheny group. The song came off the record Off Ramp, an incredible record, kind of post-fusion, late 80s, obviously kind of pulling from different influences. Pat is probably one of the most uh, great guitar players slash composers of all time. I like a lot of his work. I've seen him quite a few times live, and some I don't. But as far as this record, it was huge because it has this song on it. It also has James, which is another big one, and some really cool stuff like 18. And then there's this really kind of cool avant garde piece called The Bat Part 2. And the band itself is Lyle Mays. Steve Rodby is the bass player. Danny Gottlieb on drums, Nana Vasconcelos on like percussion and singing and stuff like that. And I think that's everybody in the band. So this is a long one, and I love the song, so I'm doing this one for me. Thanks for joining me, and here we go. So I think it's Pat is doing kind of that vamping, that chordal thing that sounds like a kind of big fat synth because he's using the Roland GR303 guitar, and the synclavier is the basically sampler synthesizer that only a few people at that time could afford, one being him, another being John McLaughlin, another being Frank Zappa. He had two, and I believe Henry Kaiser, and there might have been a few others out there, but it was a very expensive piece of technology that is so antiquated by today's standard, it's hard to believe. But so I believe he's using that, and then you hear that great kind of texture from Lyle Mays, beautiful synth sound. I don't know what he was using as far as equipment then, but yeah. Anyway. That's kind of a cool sound. It's kind of like a cross between like a harmonica and like an accordion. And I always thought that was actually someone playing like the mouth harmonica or whatever that thing, or I don't know what it is, but it has keys on it. You blow through it. So it sounds like he's not using it hooked up to the synclavier. Um, so Off Ramp, the record came out in '81. This show's from '89. I don't know what record this is. It's probably like maybe Still Life Talking or something. But he is using, it sounds like he's just using the standard Roland module that came with it. And then when he pressed on that button, I think that was for the octave higher. But man, he gets some killer tones out of that. He uses it on the duet record with John Scofield, I Can See Your House From Here. There are some mind blowing solos on that. And also, he was on the Joshua Redman record. I believe that is a long time ago, but called The Wish. And he's smoking on that. I kind of tend to prefer like Rejoicing, Bright Size Life. Travels was a great record. 8081's kind of a cool avant-garde thing, and probably one of my favorites is Song X. So yeah, anyway, I thought he might be using the synclavier for like fancy samples, but I think it's just the standard Roland synth module sound. weird. Then they show him with his Gibson. Um, that is some mind blowing guitar solos. He is one of the greatest soloists in my book. From my like that's in kind of in that jazz idiom. That's modern. I mean, I love Scofield. I like or I love Bill Frisell. I love Mike Stern, but his technique is like otherworldly or something, and he can navigate changes in such a cool way, and he's got tons of technique, and his technique is unique in itself. And I just think he's such an incredible guitar player. I have to say, I like that first, probably decade of his career. This actually, I just kind of looked it up while we were watching. This is for the Letter from Home tour. Still Life Talking, I like that record. It had each one of these records has some pretty massive hits on it. I think Letter from Home has maybe one or two songs off it that were big hits. I'm not sure which one, but Have You Heard? I think that was it. And I'd like to correct myself by saying Paul Wertico is the drummer now. When I saw that huge drum set, I knew that wasn't Danny Gottlieb. Danny Gottlieb, no, I was going to say he would have been in Mahavishnu Orchestra, but that was like 80, and this is 89. So not sure where Danny Gottlieb was. But Danny lasted in the band quite a while because Bright Side's Life came out. Bob Moses was the drummer on that. Jocko, of course, was the bass player. And then the first Pat Metheny, I don't know if they call it, it's that white one, and I think it has all their names on it. That came out, and then I think Song X, was that his first record on Geffen? I think that was what it was, because he had been on ECM all the way through Rejoicing, which he has some kind of cool story about what that record broke him and how Manfred Escher, who produced pretty much every ECM recording, I don't know about now, but back then for sure, how he just, in his mind, he produced it in such a dark way that he didn't like the record. I think it's an incredible record. That is, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Dave Holland on bass and Roy Haynes on drums, and they are smoking. I'm gonna look actually. That is it's a beautiful record. So I don't know what he's talking about, but I totally dig so many things that he's done. So yeah, Rejoicing was the record I was talking about. And yeah, Song X was his first Geffen release. So going up to this, you have some of the most interesting records. So 80, 81, that one's cool. As Falls Wichita, So Falls Wichita Falls. I'm not a huge fan of that one. Haven't heard it in a long time. Off Ramp, I love. Travels is cool. Rejoicing is amazing. First Circle, I'm not a huge fan of that one. But Rejoicing, I just wanted to see who was on it. Oh, I had it completely wrong. Sorry. Charlie Hayden on bass, and then Billy Higgins on drum. But the one right after Letter from Home is Question and Answer. That has Roy Haynes and Dave Holland, I believe. That's a killer record too. So yeah, so Question and Answer is Dave Holland and Roy Haynes. Roy Haynes is an incredible drummer. I mean, I think he's still alive, and he's smoking on this record for sure. What was I gonna say? Kind of lost my train of thought. But anyway, I love Pat Metheny. I dig the band. I don't listen to this stuff as much as I used to, but I just had to do one that kind of reflected my past. And I do a lot that are new. They're, things I've never heard of, which is kind of the idea of, exposing myself to different players. And I few and far between do the ones that I want to do, that I would hope other people would kind of get into as well. So anyway, this is a roundabout way of saying I think, Pat's one of the greatest guitar players of all time. He has almost zero influence on me as a guitar player. I wish he did. I'd be that much better. That'd be awesome. So anyway, thank you. Thanks for watching, and have a great night.